Hello and welcome back to another episode of What SHU Doing. I am Aaron Burrell alongside my co-host Paul Guarino.
What's up, everybody?
We are joined by a very special guest. We are joined by the one, the only, Taciane Batista, adjunct professor here at Sacred Heart University. Tasi, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. I know that you two have an overlapping time here at Sacred Heart.
Yep. Yes.
Let's go ahead and let's start there.
So that was grad school for the SEM program the first year. So we were the first year. So that was pretty cool to just be the first year of like anything. I mean, yeah. So how did you end up finding Sacred Heart?
Well, I actually, crazy story. How long do you have? We have like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I visited like you asked like Fairfield a few years ago through a program, and then I heard like Sacred Heart had this master's in digital journalist first was the MACOM. I actually started like doing this blog from a soccer blog in Brazil. They invited me for this sports show. And I became a sports commentator for the sports show in a small network there. And we were having like a fun time, but like I couldn't cover like the Olympics, for example, because in Brazil, for you to become like a broadcaster, you have to register your license to have degree and communications. And my degree, my bachelor was physical therapy.
Okay.
So it's like soccer was just my passion.
Yeah.
And I started doing the blog from there, invited to the show. And then I figured out it was time to get a degree in order to advance my career in this field. And then I heard the Sacred Heart is a good one from my family here, from my host family here in Fairfield. And they told me like, oh, you should come, stay with us for a little bit until you get back in the field. And then I applied, and the same week I applied, Samantha, now like she's part of like, I feel like one of the directors of the admission program, she was in Brazil. The same day I reached out to her, she's like, I'm actually here. Do you want to meet? And I was like, what are the chances that you be in Brazil the same time that I'm applying the same day? So yeah, so she helped me through the process, and that's how I end up here.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is one of the most unique stories I feel like we have heard on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coincidence.
Before we get into more hard-hitting questions, a soccer fan from Sao Paulo, which club do you support?
Sao Paulo. Even though my crazy family, like my dad's Palmeiras, my mom is Corinthians, and the three of us, my two sisters, we all Sao Paulo.
Really?
One of our friends took us to Sao Paulo Stadium. At the time, was the best stadium.
Yes.
And then it got sold. We're like, we want to root for this winner team.
Yeah.
And then since then, they just have lost. I guess that was the bad luck.
Fair enough.
Kind of off track of what we're going to talk about, but have you ever been to like an MLS game? And then if you have, what's the comparison to like going to international?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like, it's like, of course, we have like some good players here and there, but like, and the cadence of the game is different.
Yeah.
I feel like there is like also a lot more aggressive, right? Like, especially if you play in South America and like teams, they're like insane. It's like you were watching like half soccer, half wrestling kind of like a match. So it is like different. It took me a while to get used to it. Like I do still watch like more international, especially Champions League. That's always been my favorite tournament. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. So you get your undergraduate degree in physical therapy. When did you decide that, physical therapy may not have been the career for you and that journalism was where you wanted to go?
It's so funny because in between, I graduated, I came, like after a year, I got like a job in PT and I loved it too. And I wanted to be a PT in sports, right? And my professors got me like, you need to go to Sao Paulo, like you need to go to talk to this guy. And I never forget the physical therapist told me from Sao Paulo. At the time I was like, 21, a lot younger. And he told me like, you're too feminine to be a physical therapist for this soccer team. I would try different sports. Or I'll try the female team. And that broke my heart. I was like, no. That was like my biggest frustration. I was like, no, I did this career so I could be closer to soccer and help practicing soccer. And that kind of like completely shattered all my dreams. Like I know I could have stayed and tried, but back in Brazil that day, there was no way I could do anything related to soccer, except if I did part of a lab, but not really. Okay. The locker, like, and I get it, locker room for girls, you say like whatever, but you're professional.
Of course.
So you'll be out. And so that kind of like broke my hope, a little bit. And then I was like, people would say like, you're good at this. Do you want to try this? And I will go, and you're good at this. And I tried multiple careers until I came to do an exchange program. And that's when I started for fun. I missed soccer in Brazil. because I was not used to the MLS. So I started writing about it, and then I was like, wow. When I went back to Brazil after that, that's when I realized, like, oh, I really wanted to invest more in this career. And I spent 3 years in Brazil, 2 of them being part of the show and writing the blog. And that's when I came after to do my master's. So.
Wow.
Yeah. That's all. I mean, that's just crazy, just in general. And then just thinking about the Brazil story, so got me. That the lady was in town. That's crazy.
I know.
But and then I guess, what was your experience like at Cigar while you were here? And I know you're still here, but like as a student, what was your experience?
Oh, I can't say I didn't like it, right? Because I'm still here, so I didn't go anywhere. I went, came back. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I love the experience here. Like I feel like I was the first GA for the SMA, so it was like fun to be learning. We weren't even in this crazy, amazing building. We didn't have this studios.
We were half and half.
I know. I tell all my students now, like it's like. But you guys are so lucky. We had to set up the control room outside. And when I was in the digital one, the digital journal, we were in the old building. We had to set up everything, cameras, studio, lights, everything. It was completely different. So it was amazing. I got to learn so much. And especially because we didn't have all this technology, it was like more hands-on and setting up and breaking down, carrying everything. It was amazing, and I think like it did like help me make like amazing connections. I did have great opportunities like internship. I did get some job offers. Some of them didn't work out because of sponsorship and visa. I think that was the biggest challenge. Once you come in an international visa and the big game like names out there, they don't want to have to hire you if you're in an international visa, but you do get like a lot of opportunities with like different companies, and you get like when you're in a smaller company, you get to do so much more, learn so much more, become more versatile. That's how from here I came from being on air from Brazil, and I loved becoming a producer. I had no idea that that's actually was gonna become like my passion after that, and here I am teaching now. So
wow. What was it like on those days? You know, obviously, as you said, it's tough getting, you know, you're reaching out to these bigger companies and, you know, you're getting denied because of your visa status. When you know you're more than qualified to do the role, what is that like? How do you keep going during those moments, you know? Well,
it's definitely challenging, but like you're here to have like this experience, right? You have like a one in a lifetime, like that's the time like you have all the connections, that you have all the open doors, that you can actually just try. And it's hard hearing those. Oh, absolutely. It hurts. You know, like I knew I've been doing that before. I could definitely do this. But you have to accept that no's are going to come, and you just have to keep trying. And keep knocking until the door open. There's always a door that's going to be open. It's just how hard are you trying? I think that's mainly the question, that you have to answer yourself. How long do you want to try for? But it worked out. I was lucky.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then how did the opportunity come up to become a professor?
It was actually, I love like SHU Media Exchange. So like I was part of the digital journalist program. And after I did the sports program, but I knew like they did the SHU Media Exchange every year. And I moved back to Connecticut from New York in 2016. And I came to the SHU Media Exchange. And Andrew, I ran into Miller, and he's like, oh, were you back in Connecticut? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, good to know. And then after like a few weeks or something, like, oh, would you like to try teaching for us? And I was like, absolutely, I'd love to. Had no idea. Like I did like some GA work, like help some classes. So it's not like, no, really, you gotta have like sort of an experience. It was a new class, but it was fun. I absolutely fell in love with it. Like the first semester, and I was like, how can I do more? Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Sorry.
No, go.
No, so obviously working with students, like what advice do you feel like, you know, your life experience is valuable to like pass on to them? Like what experiences are you able to give them?
Like you're saying to my students?
Yes.
I feel like first of all, like we're too young to give up on anything. And I feel like I always tell them my life example is like, I went from PT to communication to teaching, like there's never like, you don't have to stop. You can keep trying. I feel like also what I try to tell them, like, don't just focus in one door when you're applying to a job, like apply all different fields. Like in this, like maybe you want to work in a specific company. Maybe you're not going to get like the position you want right away. Apply for other ones so you get your foot in the door. And then you keep like, you know, you keep trying. And if you can get that, you want to really focus on that one position, then try other markets. They're smaller, they're easier to get into. And then you go to bigger markets. That's why I try to help them. And also tell them, like, you come here, you don't want to just do camera work. If you go work out there, they expect you to know how to put a story together, to be a good writer, to be a good photographer, to be a good editor. And of course, you need to do everything. So don't just, procrastinate until last minute to learn everything, because then you get screwed when you go out there. And just get try to get your hands as dirty as you can while you're here. And you get to know so many people. So I tell them, every connection you have here, normally most people you end up working out there are people that you actually met through school, and they liked working with you here and more likely to recommend you out there. So that's what I pretty much tell every student I have. So
that's great advice. Even just last week, I was out on a shoot, and I haven't shot with a camera in forever, but because I was getting that, yes, you have to be ready. And then all of a sudden, it was like, now you're in the driver's seat, and it's like, well, what's going to happen? We're out in the field, and you've got to do these things. So I think that's phenomenal advice for students, is to make sure you're trying everything.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. If you want to get the full experience, you got to try.
Yeah, no, I think just in sports in general, you always need to know, like in sports jobs, you need to know multiple things, because like Aaron just said, you never know, like when you have to redo something that you might not have done. And then just overall, like, what's it been like, just like, I know you've been teaching for a couple of years now, so even like seeing the students like progress and like seeing like what jobs they got, like how does that feel to see like what they've done? Yeah.
I'm always like reaching out, and even when I teach one semester and I see them around, oh, where are you up to? I love they're probably like, oh my God, there comes Taciane. I don't want to see her, I don't want to talk to her, but I stopped them today. Even I was like joking with Molly. I was getting a bagel between classes, and she was sitting. I was like, do you mind if I sit here? Let's catch up. Like, you're not mentioned anywhere, but let's hang out. So I was asking her, telling her a little bit about my experience too, and it was so fun. I feel like it's so really gratifying when you're teaching them something and you see them really, being successful out there. But you always see the ones that the hard workers are the ones that always gonna go further, because you see they're keeping themselves open to opportunities. They're always offering to help, even if it's not really the scope of their job, or even if the class is like, maybe one is a camera, but he's like, okay, how can I help? Right in between, you see the difference. And those, if they have this attitude outside there, they're going to succeed. It's just a matter of time and being the first door being open to them. So I feel like it's really nice to see them. And I always try to have them on LinkedIn and stuff to see how far they get, and if they ever need any advice or recommendation letters, I'm always open to it. So
even us just doing this podcast is just like crazy. Even like people we obviously known, and then people that we don't know, and then just like seeing all the connections that we actually do have and maybe not even know about it. It's like crazy to see what SHU alum are doing.
Yeah,
it is. And I feel like one thing that from the previous question, one of the questions you asked me about advice to the students, I forgot to mention, is especially what you're saying about sports, right? Like, I feel like one advice to about sports, I came with my comfort zone was soccer.
Yeah.
But I came to a country where soccer is is not,
at best.
it doesn't have the best coverage. It's not, they have a great coverage, but it can compete to the biggest sports in the country. And I feel like if you want to be good, sports, communication person, let's say in general, you just need to get yourself out of your comfort zone in different sports. Because sometimes you're going to get hired by a company, and maybe they're going to move you even Luke, in Florida. Well, I'm sure he didn't know much about golf, or he didn't know much about different sports that they have in Florida compared to the sports they follow here. So I feel like also be open to learn all the sports and not just try to, even when you do your package here, your your shots here, try something new that no one else tries. Everybody covers basketball here at Sacred Heart. Everybody covers hockey within the arena. But what else can you cover that no one else is covering? That could give you a good opportunity to be an expert. I have colleagues in Brazil. She's she's huge. She's fired. She's band sports. We worked together for a little bit. And she was called, she wanted to do soccer like every Brazilian does. And eventually she started covering MMA. And she's like, I know nothing about it, but if it's my opportunity to grow, and now every MMA fight, she's the person that knows it all, and that's called first. From either different networks try to get her after, because she became that person. So I feel like, again, try to get out of your comfort zone. Try to learn other sports. You might become that lead in that specific field compared to everybody else that covering all the other sports.
I love that advice. A friend of mine once said, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I feel like that is exactly, in line with what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're talking about soccer. I would be, Copa America is coming to the United States this summer.
Thank God, finally.
Predictions. Who will win Copa America this summer?
Definitely not Brazil. We don't have a good team. We just don't. I wish I was here saying we're going to be winners. We're going to no, we don't. I feel like it's going to be a tough year. Unfortunately, as much it hurts me to say that Argentina has a better chance than us.
Yeah.
Any Brazilian will kill me right now. But just being honest, it's tough. Brazil, unfortunately, doesn't have a good team for Olympics games or for Copa America. I really hope they prove me wrong. I'll be happy to be proved wrong. So
I hope so too. I'm Jamaican, and in Jamaica, I feel like it's split. Everyone loves soccer, football, soccer, but everyone's either pseudo-Brazilian or pseudo-Argentinian.
They either hate each other.
Yes. So in Jamaica in the World Cup, you'll see when Brazil plays, everyone is running in the streets in Brazil jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about our mutual friend, Marcelo Savoys. I brought Marcelo to Jamaica when we were in school, and he was like, I'm seeing a lot of Brazil stuff. And I was like, Jamaicans love Brazil. I don't know what it is, but so if you haven't, and I know you and your husband were talking about taking trips to Brazil. Yeah, if you haven't taken a trip, I would recommend Jamaica. You will find that Brazilian things are everywhere.
Oh. I like that already. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure I'll love it anyways.
Yeah.
I got one last question for me. Sure. Could you teach us something in Portuguese?
Ooh, okay. That's an easy one. All Thank you. It's obrigada. You guys are guys, so you got to say obrigado.
Obrigado.
Yeah.
I knew this one.
You already
It's the first thing the Brazilians teach because it's
Fala português comigo.
Oh, pode falar. Muito bem. We have a funny thing that we have a word that doesn't exist in any other language, and it's saudades, which means I miss you, missing something. You say saudades. So that's a word that maybe
saudades.
You could try a new word then. Since obrigado is too easy for you.
I can thank my Brazilian roommates in college for all of this advice. But Tassi, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Paul, any final things?
No, I'm just mad because you already knew what you called us.
You should have hung out with the.
You should have texted me sooner, Paul. Say, why can't I?
But this has been another episode of What You Doing. We will see y'all next time.